What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for Bumblebee. Just got out of the theater, and you guys know, or if you're new, you guys know that I love the Transformers movies, the Michael Bay ones. I love them all. I have grown up with the series since I was a kid. I loved the first movie when I saw it back in 2017. I've been in love with the series since then. Excuse me. Never really delved in any of the TV series, honestly. I've seen clips of the first series. I've watched like a few episodes of Pride. Never really caught my interest, but I've always loved the Michael Bay movies. Although I will admit, Age of Extinction is definitely my least favorite one. You guys know that I loved The Last Night. I did a movie review for that one, and you guys know I love this. I love these movies. So for me, if Bumblebee wasn't the kind of movie I was like, oh, thank God, there's finally a good Transformers movie. I was like, okay, this is actually a damn good movie. I loved Bumblebee because now. Like I said, now I would personally rank this along with the other Transformers movies but I would say fourth place behind Transformers 1, which is my favorite. Dark of the Moon and Last Night are kind of like, or like kind of like 2 and 3rd, although you could probably switch those out. I would have to rewatch both those movies to know which way I would put them, but I love those movies, and then I would put Bumblebee and then Age of Extinction. Now, for me personally, like I said, I did love this movie. I came in this movie honestly with zero expectations. Not because it was like, oh, let's see how... It was mostly just because the movie just looked like... I was curious at how this movie was going to work just because it was a Transformers movie that wasn't directed by Michael Bay, and I was curious about it. But when I saw the first trailer, I was intrigued by it, but at the same time I was like, because you just saw my reaction, I talked about how I was like a little weird because it looked like they might have been trying to set up some weird romance between Bumblebee and Charlie. But thank God they didn't actually do that, and... So yeah, overall, I thought this movie was amazing, and I would definitely recommend this movie to any to people that are fans of Transformers that just despise the Michael Bay movies. And this will definitely be some fresh air. This will definitely be, you would think this definitely, people of Transformers fans would definitely say this is definitely a step in the right direction, and a step in the right direction, and definitely that if Michael Bay stays away from the movies, Transformers is in good hands. Like I said, me personally, I still love the Michael Bay movies, but anyway, enough jibber jabber, let's get into it. So, the movie is directed by Travis Knight and stars
John Cena!
I will never let that meme down. Anyway, so yeah, we got my man John Cena, Haley Steinfeld, Jorn Leborg Jr., Jason Drunker, as many more. And the plot of Bumblebee, so it's set place in the 1980s, so this ignores all that Bumblebee being World War II stuff that was in the last time, which even I'll admit that was weird. And since the 1980s, Cybertron has been destroyed, Bumblebee has come to Earth to set up a base so that the Autobots can, take down the Decepticons. All this is going on. Charlie is still trying to live with the death of her father. She's trying to, just live with it, and it's because that she is, pretty much just stuck in a room, mope around, and just be isolated from the rest of the world. And so these two come together, then they help each other out, and help each other with their differences, and help each other out, yeah. So, like I said before, I love this movie. One of the things I definitely say I love the most was definitely without a doubt, carried this movie, was definitely Haley Steinfeld's performance. She did. Now, this is pretty much, I think this is actually the first movie I've seen her in, because everyone else say, like, oh yeah, she's amazing, she's been, like, her performance is great, and stuff, and other stuff. I think this is actually the first time I've seen her in anything, and she was me. She was definitely the highlight of the movie. Bumblebee, Bumblebee has always been one of my favorite Transformers ever since I was a kid when I first saw the movie. Like, if you asked my 7-year-old self, what were my favorite Transformers, I would have said Optimus Prime and Bumblebee would be my top 2. I always loved those two. And I just love the mannerisms and just the mannerisms, body languages. And even though Bumblebee can't talk, which I did like how they did have a time where we could actually hear Bumblebee's voice. I really dug how they did that. But whenever later on when he can't talk because his like vocal cords or vocal modulator whatever got removed. I love the way how Travis uses Bumblebee's body language, his posture, and just like little sounds he can make, and using a little bit of facial expressions. he uses to portray the emotions and what Bumblebee is going through. Now, you could say that also definitely goes back to he has had done things animation before. Like, he directed, I believe, what was it, Kubo and the Two Strings, I believe he's directed. I've never seen the movie myself. But that definitely helped him out with just giving Bumblebee a ton more emotion and ton more character to him, even though he can't really speak. And, of course, there are all the times when they use the radio, which is always fun when they actually use the radio. And now, I don't know. This movie, like I said, this movie is a prequel to the first movie, although it almost comes off also at the same time as a soft reboot, because, like I said, there's no mention of anything that happened with World War II like there was in The Last Night. But there are little callbacks they have to the first movie, like, at the, like, I don't really consider this a spoiler, but at the end of the movie, we see Bumblebee transform into, like, the car, into, like, the old Camaro we saw him at the beginning of the first Transformers movie, as well as when Charlie first meets Bumblebee in the garage. It's very reminiscent to when what was it? Shia LaBeouf first met Bumblebee at that that used car place in the first Transformers. It was very reminiscent to that scene. Very reminiscent. It was almost like a shot-for-shot copy. And so there are callbacks to the first movie. Of course, this movie is taking place in the 80s. There are a ton of 80s references. We hear 80s music being played all over the place. A bunch of old 80s, like, in the background of George's place. Like, we see that he has a John Carpenter's The Thing poster, Raiders of the Lost Ark poster, and the dude also has a shit ton of hair products for his afro. I mean, I got an afro too, but I don't use hair products. This thing's all natural, and you could probably tell. Anyway, so George, he was pretty good, but one thing I will definitely say, but also another thing that I love about this movie was the fights. The fights and the time we are in Cybertron at the beginning with, that's like, I legit want a whole movie just set in Cybertron, because I really dug how they did, because it felt like the old school Transformers, which I'm sure old school Transformers of G1 are going to love that whole part where they're in Cybertron, and they got all the classic designs. I love the classic designs. I love the way how they adapted them into live action. I love how they did that. And especially when we saw Optimus Prime, I think Megatron was in there as well, Bumblebee, I think Starscream was there too. I'm not sure. But I just love that whole section where we were in Cybertron. I wish that we spent a lot more time there in Cybertron, just seeing Optimus and the rest of the Autobots facing off against the Decepticons as they're making their way out of there. Like, I wish there was more time in Cybertron. That's one thing I would like. I don't even know if I really consider this a flaw, but maybe it's something I would have liked. But I would have loved if they spent a little bit more time inside Cybertron. Besides that, the jokes were also pretty funny. Like, not all of them land. Like, a couple of them were like, where I wasn't laughing. But some of the times I was just laughing my ass off, singing in my chair, being like, bro, like, Bumblebee, that man's a savage. I love Bumblebee in this movie. Now, let's go into the names. I don't really have too many, but one thing I'll definitely say I didn't like was, okay, I didn't really like this, but it was just like, come on, was John C's character. Now, John himself, he did a pretty good job with the role he was given, but he's pretty much just, your typical, soldier, like, let's, I don't trust the Autobots, let's get him. Like, this movie does share a lot in common with E.T., which I didn't even really notice when I first saw the movie. I noticed it after I saw Chris Tuckman's review. He pointed out, I was like, oh yeah, it does look a lot, it does remind me a lot of E.T. So, John's character is pretty cliche, but he does the job pretty well. And I will say that, I said this before and I'll say it again, when the My Hero Academia movie gets, when they start casting for the My Hero Academia live-action movie, they should cast John Cena as All Might, because if you've been watching wrestling for as long as I have, you guys know that he would be the perfect fit for All Might. Anyway, so, and some of the supporting characters were all like Charlie's parents. I definitely say they were better than Sam's parents. I didn't even really think Sam's parents were that bad, but these parents have a lot more character to them, and they're just overall a lot more enjoyable to be around. And yeah, so overall, the only really flaws I had was just a couple of jokes didn't really land, and John Cena's character was pretty cliche. Besides that, I really got nothing really that bad to say. Like I said, this movie is really damn good. I love this movie. This movie was amazing. Like, the joke, but definitely I will say, if Charlie's performance and Bumblebee were not as good as they were, because those two honestly carried the movie, I would probably give this movie like an 8 out of 10, maybe even a 7.5 out of 10. But since Charlie's performance and Bumblebee were so good, and also the soundtrack was also really good, filled with classic agents. I love this one scene though when Charlie replaces Bumblebee's radio, and she starts putting cassette tapes in it. There's this one scene where she puts "I'm Never Gonna Let You Down" by what was his name, Rick something, and he immediately spits it out cause I was like, oh, so you're not a fan of memes then, Bumblebee? I see you, brother. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so overall, I give this movie a 9.5. Like I said, amazing movie. If you're definitely a fan of Transformers and you've hated the Michael Bay movies, check this movie out. If you're a fan of the Michael Bay movies and you love Transformers, definitely check this movie out because you will also get a kick out of it because this movie was awesome. I loved it. I had a great time while I was there, showing my face full of popcorn. Although I do hope that one day we do get a movie set in Cybertron, because man, when we saw Cybertron's movie, it was amazing. I just want a whole movie just based in there. Even though I'm not really a fan of teasers, I can definitely see yes, give me this movie. I want Cybertron, please, please, please. So yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed the video. You like if you did, subscribe if you're new, follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. As always, come back for more. See you guys next time.